Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. We have made it to the end of season 6. It always feels like an accomplishment of some sort. This is Biogenesis, this episode, which you alluded to last time, Brian, as this is the first part of a 3-part story.
Yep.
God, that's annoying.
Mostly because by the time we get to the other 2 parts, I've probably forgotten what happened in this one.
Yep.
But no, I mean, like the last time we had a 3, but I mean, to be honest, every time we've had a 3-parter, they've been pretty damn good. Like, you know, the first one we got was the Anasazi Blessing Way paperclip one, which is like that's like a gold standard for X-Files, I think. And then we had Redux Part 1 and 2, Gethsemane and Redux, which we really highly rated. We said it was like mythology at its best kind of thing. So, I mean, you figure that if they're doing something in 3 parts, then they must have a big story to tell. So that right there would suggest, that would suggest, you know, that it's worth looking forward to. So I'm intrigued with this one. I'm really intrigued with this one because, like, this for me is where everything starts getting very hazy. Like, there's been a few episodes in this season where, like, in the run up to them, you know, you've asked me about it and I've been like, I can't actually remember. Like, I had something to say about most of them. I remembered something from most of them, but there's there's a few small handle. We're going to go into season 7, and that's going to come up a lot, I think. It's going to be like, meh, I don't know. Can't remember. But in terms of this one, obviously it's a season closer. They tend to smack big. You know, they tend to do pretty well in terms
most of the time.
Fandom. Most of the time, yeah. So with that in mind, where do you think it sits with the IMDb ranking?
72.
Oh!
What?
You got it. 72.
No way.
Yeah. That's the second time. The second one that you've ever got. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Finally you got one. Yeah. So,
wow. I mean, realistically, the odds of actually getting that are
1 in 72. I don't know.
1 in 270.
Yeah. 1 in 270.
I mean, I almost changed to 79 in my mind there.
Right.
So, yes. Wow. Right. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us on the X-Files Revisited. It's only downhill from here.
Graham's never going to get a better moment than that. But okay, so yeah, that's the second time you've ever got it right.
Yeah, I'm adding a half star onto this review. I guess.
Okay. So I'm interested to know what your reasoning was behind that. Why did you throw the dart at 72?
I have no idea. like it's a mythology episode, but I feel as if we've almost closed the door on mythology episodes. It's one that this episode, like, I think it ends up leaving you with more questions than it does answers, and particularly the end part, although it's a cool shot, it just makes me go, oh, come on. Like, but we'll get there when we get there. There's just yeah. So it's end of the season, which is always like fairly high-ish, so like the top third. But as end episodes go, I don't know if it's the best one that I've seen so far. So I feel as if it's the lower end of that third. Okay. Basically, I just pulled that number out of nowhere.
Out of your ass, yeah. Okay, let's get into it then. So we open up on planet Earth. It's just to
this has happened before, though, hasn't it? Like this took me back to another episode.
I think we've done it, possibly Little Green Men.
Could be. It felt like acknowledging like a previous episode, and I couldn't put my finger on it.
Okay.
But can I just say as well, like, before we get started in here, I feel I have to mention it once more. the field where I died has...
I knew you were going to say it, because I literally said, Scully's voiceover, and then I was just to say field where I died.
It's any voiceover. I'm just triggered. Like, I am seriously triggered by that episode.
It's like PTSD, innit? Yes. Like field where I died, PTSD, voiceover, PTSD. So we get Scully's voiceover over planet Earth, talking about how life became extinct, evolved again, evolved again. Obviously, this back in the 90s with so-called evolutionists, they theorized that there's already been 5 extinctions and we're heading for a 6th. A lot of modern science would suggest that that's actually a load of bollocks, but moving on, whatever. Who ignited it? That's the big question. This thing we call life. Who ignited it? What ignited it? What's its purpose? And that's it, really. We just kind of open up on planet Earth and Scully asking all these questions, which obviously suggests big answers to big questions, or certainly a big discussion. They're not small questions. They're the questions that man has wrestled with since, well, the dawn of man. So, okay, is the X-Files team equipped to answer those kind of questions? Let's find out.
Yeah, I mean, as openings go, I am already not interested. Like,
right, okay.
Like, I just find it like it's just it's beyond the realms of the X-Files and what they can like answer type thing. If you ask me, like, it feels almost too grand a point. And I'm just like, it's the voiceover as well. Like, as the episode starts, I'm not like, oh, I'm not watching this. I'm just not involved as much as I can be.
It's because you want to see something. That's the question. You don't want to feel like you're listening to an audio book. Yeah. You want to see something. I want to see Toombs ripping out someone's liver.
Yeah.
I want to see, just like whatever we normally see, some kind of natural element kind of killing someone. Like, you know what I mean?
Something.
We normally see something that makes us go, oh, that's a bit icky, or that's a bit weird. Whereas this is literally just Scully asking questions. And it doesn't really matter how big those questions are. At the end of the day, it is just radio.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't make you curious the way the episode's going. It feels like somebody's posing you a question. You're like, it's not my job to answer it. Show me something.
Yeah. So opening credits, and then we go to the Ivory Coast, where men find a metal plate with markings on it,
which we've just seen. Although this is the second part, but we've literally just seen it. I was like, is this a flashback to 2 minutes ago?
Yeah. It's like, because we literally see the plate in the opening. It's like, and we have the Mark's No music, like suggesting there's something otherworldly about this plate. And then we go to a dig where it's like, oh, what are they going to find? I don't know. Could it be the thing we just saw? Yeah. So I mean, they could have literally got rid of this scene by having Scully's voiceover over the top of this scene at the start, rather than the other thing, or zoom in from outside the planet to these people doing the dig and finding it as Scully's voiceover ends where it ends. And then you can get rid of this scene altogether because you've covered 2 birds with 1 stone. But we go to West African University, and a professor takes the piece that was found and places it next to one that he already has. They fuse together and fly across the room, embedding themselves into the Bible, into Genesis as it happens. And the professor goes to make a call. So it's when he goes to make a call that we kind of come in and the thing's embedded itself in Genesis. And
so it's like you alluded to last time that this has some like theological. I would say an almost an attack. Like, and I'm not particularly like religious, but it feels like it's almost like cutting into the Bible as a statement, which is going to kind of continue through the rest of this episode. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I necessarily see it as cutting into the Bible so much as it's drawn to the Bible.
Right.
The two cannot help but be fused together or exist in the same space, kind of thing. Which essentially it's trying to show that they are one. Which
that's interesting because I seen it as a complete opposite.
Right.
I saw it as this being the more powerful idea, destroying that idea. This is the truth.
I think I felt that way back when I originally saw it. And it kind of got I started getting nervous. I'm like, where are you going? Where's this going? But having seen it a few times over the years and knowing where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do with the mythology, it leads me to believe, and I could be wrong. And that's the beauty of something like this, is it is open to interpretation. I mean, I'll get into it further as we go into the episode because more stuff comes out as we go through the episode. But yeah, for me, it's about them kind of. It's an attraction that they have to one another as opposed to one trying to cancel out the other. So we go to Dulles International Airport where the same professor rocks up to a university looking for Professor Sandoz. He asks a couple of ladies, I'm looking for Professor Sandoz. And I don't know what that accent was, but it certainly wasn't African. Sandoz and Solomon, as we find out this guy's name is. Sandoz sees Solomon from his window as he looks at his monkeys, because he's got cages full of monkeys and stuff. And Solomon comes up and introduces himself. He shows Sandoz the artifact. The monkeys go wild.
I'd say they go bananas.
Sandoz asks Solomon if he's had any luck translating the writing on it. That's when Solomon tells him he's not Sandoz. Sandoz attacks Solomon and the monkeys get even more bananas.
Yeah. But it's just this, like the whole monkey sequence and them going crazy, like it's when the artifact is unveiled, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I'd say it's a good bit of acting from the Solomon character, because as soon as the man asks that question, have you translated any of it? They don't need to say anything. You instantly know that this man knows that that's not who he's pretending to be. Yeah, and it's just like a brief second of acting, but it's just terrific.
Yeah, it's good. So the real Sandoz arrives and finds Solomon's body. Nothing really much to say about that. Nope. It's a dead body. We've seen many of them on the show. Skinner puts Mulder and Scully on the case. Solomon was a biologist. He and Sandoz posit a theory that life on Earth started elsewhere. Scully says some of it sounds plausible if we are talking microbes, not so much if we're saying aliens made us. Skinner then gives a rubbing of the artifact to them and says they could do with speaking to Sandoz. But Mulder says Sandoz is missing, like he knows, like he kind of starts to get this like discomfort in his head when the rubbing's brought over, and
this happens several times. I don't know if I'm entirely comfortable with this aspect of the story. Like I don't know if it makes entire sense to me.
Yeah, it's that age-old thing that kind of makes its way into most TV shows and movies, particularly of the fantasy and sci-fi genre, which is The Chosen One. And it's like they're moving down that area of Mulder being the chosen one. And I've always liked the fact that Mulder isn't that kind of deal. It's always that actually he's very far from being the chosen one. He's the outsider looking in.
He's the outcast one.
Yeah, he's the outcast one trying to figure his way in, trying to figure his way out, to be honest. It's just, it's... As soon as we start getting into this notion that, oh, is he the chosen one all along? Have you run out of ideas, guys? Is that really what's going on here? That's kind of,
yeah. And it's just, it's because it affects, because we see it affect the monkeys. When it opens up, it affects Mulder, but it doesn't seem to affect anybody else, which I just, like, it doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I mean they do explain it. They will explain it at some point. But yeah. So Mulder and Scully get in a lift, and Scully wonders why they've been given what is a clear homicide. Mulder feigns no interest, but she sees right through him. People enter the lift, and Scully begins a rant that Mulder does not hear. Everything gets drowned out by white noise as he looks at the rubbing. She asks him what he hopes to find when he's already uncovered the truth. And he says, my sister. So this is... We're pivoting back to this. It's like, you can't escape this, dude. You can't escape this. Look, the series was built on this notion. So until he finds out definitively what happened to his sister, you're never getting away from this. Now,
damn it.
Take solace in the fact that by the middle of season 7, this will be done and dusted. He finds out. But for now, that's essentially what they're doing. They're getting us back. They've pretty much done everything that, with the syndicate and all that kind of stuff, but they still need to wrap up a definitive answer in terms of Mulder's sister. So what they're doing with this 3-parter is they're starting to build essentially a new mythology, like to send the mythology in a new direction, whilst also reminding us, okay, we do need to deal with Samantha. So
I would have been happy to never hear about her again. I'm just saying, some X-Files are unsolvable.
Yeah. You don't have to give us the answers, but yeah, whatever. And you might be in the crowd that once you do get those answers in the 2-parter that's coming in the middle of season 7, you might actually have preferred to have not had them. I'm in the camp that kind of likes it, but there's a lot of people who are not. So, but yeah, so we go to American University, which I love. It's on the bottom. It doesn't say what university it is. It just says American University. What? There's an American University, like literally a university just called American University.
Yeah, it's completely ludicrous. It's the University of America.
That's just lazy, guys. It's just sheer laziness. Okay. Mulder and Scully arrive. Mulder speaks to Dr. Barnes, the killer, who is very disparaging of Dr. Sandoz. When Scully shows him the rubbing, Mulder becomes disorientated. Barnes continues to mock Sandoz to Scully. Mulder washes his face, and Scully comes and asks him if he's okay. He tells her it's the same thing that happened to him in the elevator. Thinks it's to do with the rubbing, and she just says it's just a piece of paper. So that is true. It is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they're really driving home the fact that
and you can feel that they're really driving it home, and if you're not like buying into this, it's a little bit tough.
It's kind of grating, isn't it? Because it's like
yeah. But you're hoping for just a little bit of levity, even if they could just reintroduce a fun character that we haven't seen for a while. That would just help things out. Anyway, where do we go from here?
So Mulder gets to his office to find Chuck. Yay! Good old Chuck. Chuck there with Scully. He and Scully say that the rubbing is fake because the language is a variation, not the actual, of multiple different languages. Navajo found in Africa. So, yeah, it's like, why would this thing have Navajo language on it when it's been found in Africa? And, you know, it's got to be a fake. And then Chuck tells us about something called a magic square. So some occult folklore thing, which, like, the folklore goes that God gave this magic square to Adam and handed it down to the saints and wise men through the millennia to give them the power of God. Scully believes it's bollocks because, you know, it is.
Yep.
It's, you know, there's nothing mentioned about it in the Bible. So, yeah, it's certainly not of any kind of Christian theological perspective. But says Barnes backs that up. And Mulder suggests it would be in Barnes' best interest to silence Sandoz if he had actual proof. And Mulder gets another headache. Yeah. Literally every scene. Every scene.
And at this point, I'm starting to get a headache as well.
No. I don't want to give the impression that I'm really down on this episode, because I'm actually enjoying it. Yeah, I'm liking the mystery. I am liking the fact that it is raising questions that are making me go, oh, you know, they're not comfortable. And certainly, as someone who, you know, is of the Christian faith, they're not comfortable to start mixing up Christian theology with, you know, notions of aliens and this, that, and the other. And, you know, like in more recent years, there's a line of thought that has arisen that suggests these things we call aliens that that have been reported through the years are not in fact aliens but angels, you know. And so there's always this attempt to try and fit these square pegs into round holes and stuff, and it's just like, okay, you know, it makes for nice folklore, but whether I want to take it on board as part of my belief system is a completely different matter. But yeah, so Scully takes him out, says he needs to get checked out. Mulder says he knows that Barnes killed Solomon, says he will show Scully what he did with the body. So alluding here to the possibility that he can see things. He's getting some kind of psychic link going on.
Which I don't like. I just don't like that. I don't like that aspect because Mulder is not an X-File. You know, and this feels like... Yeah,
you want Mulder to stay Mulder. That's the thing.
Yes.
It's like Mulder needs to investigate this stuff, not become this stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So we go to the Sandoz residence, and Mulder and Scully are let in by the landlord. Mulder can
we just acknowledge the landlord? He's there for about 20 seconds, and he's fantastic. Like, I thought it was hilarious. Like for like just a bit part, he just comes in and just owns that character. Like that's a complete character right there.
Yeah, just it feels genuine. It feels like they wanted this guy to. You don't really know about this guy, and yet you feel like you know everything you need to know about him. The typical kind of landlord who's just, you know, sat up in his top apartment, chowing down on donuts and beers while raking it in from his tenants, and never actually helping them with their maintenance or anything like that. But yeah. So they're let in by the landlord, and Mulder finds the suitcase with lots of air miles. There's a picture of Albert Hosteen on the wall, for anyone who remembers Albert Hosteen. Translate that's I love how X-Files does this, how like it expects the people to be watching to know everything from like way back when, you know. It's like, if you don't know who Albert Hosteen is, then that's on you. It's tough. You should be a fan of the show. So yeah, that's good. Translator or writer? So that's the thing, you know. Why have they got Albert Hosteen in for this? Did he actually translate the Navajo that's on this metal thing, or is he the one that's responsible for writing it as part of the forgery? So Scully says, "Where's the body then?" To which Mulder says, "In the bin." So they open the bin, and there it is. Just, well, part of it anyway. Yeah, just a head.
Which is cool. It's a disgusting effect, but yeah, love it.
So we go to Skinner's office, and Mulder says that Sandoz is innocent. Being framed, Scully says the body is missing all the parts that would show telltale signs of radiation. From what? The artifact. Cosmic Galactic Radiation, CGR. Skinner says they need to find Santos.
Now, this is the Mulder that I expect. You know, cosmic radiation.
Cosmic galactic radiation. Scully says we need to find Sandoz. Mulder says they need to find the artifact. He gets another headache, then asks Skinner who else is on the case. He can hear it. Skinner looks disturbed, but Scully gets Mulder out of the room. Scully insists Mulder see a doctor. He says artifacts. She says go home. He leaves. Skinner watches from his door, then takes a tape out of the cupboard because the whole thing has been filmed, and then he hands it to Krycek.
Krycek, which is always good to see him back, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just like he's one of those characters. Whenever he appears, you're just like fantastic.
Yeah. And at this point, it's like the Syndicate's dead. We know that Cancerman's still out there somewhere, but we don't really know what his operation looks like at this point, because obviously,
when's the last time we saw him?
I think it was in One Son, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the last. Yeah. That's the last time.
So the last time we saw him, we know that Fowley is possibly in his pocket. You know, they tried to make it seem as if, you know, maybe she's playing him. You know, she could be double dealing or triple dealing. People on the X-Files always could be, but like literally everyone seems to have died that's in Cancerman's camp at the moment, other than possibly Fowley, depending on which side of the fence she actually sits on. So Krycek seems to be like the main player in some respect, kind of working on his own. So it's like, where are they going to go with that? That's the question. But so we go to the hospital in New Mexico, where Scully sees Albert being wheeled away. He goes into the room. She goes into the room and finds a rubbing with the translation on the back, which kind of seems to suggest that obviously he was translating, not writing, because why would there be a rubbing with the translation on the back? And so he tells the nurse enters and tells Scully that Albert is dying of cancer, which seems to be like the go-to disease, doesn't it, for anyone who gets close to anything of alien origin, like kind of thing. We go to university. Is this American university once again?
Who knows?
Mulder goes into Barnes' office and roots around. He hears Barnes coming back because rather conveniently, someone in the hallway shouts, "Mr. Barnes!" It's like, I'm really thankful for that.
Of course.
Yeah. So it gives them a bit of time to kind of hide or get out of Dodge. And then we cut to the hallway, and Barnes is walking down the hall, and he enters his office. When he puts his bag down onto the table, his spider sense starts tingling, and it's like he sensed that something has been moved or something's changed. And he quickly leaves the office, and he goes to the monkey lab, enters his monkey lab, where Mulder is hiding. And as Mulder starts to try and spy on Barnes, see what he's up to, he gets a major headache and hits the deck.
Yep.
Yeah. Mulder still follows Barnes, though. Follows Barnes, but becomes increasingly disorientated until he collapses. Yeah. So Albert is brought back in. Scully sees Sandoz, who runs. She chases and catches up with him, lowers her gun and says she needs answers from him. And you kind of get a sense from his body language that he trusts her, that he, this is someone that maybe I can tell about stuff. We go back to Mulder in the stairwell. He's just kind of like out of it. Someone steps over him. It's Krychek, obviously. It's just it's like Krychek doesn't kill Mulder in this moment, so that's always interesting, because it's like clearly he wants Mulder alive. Clearly he prefer Mulder to be alive, and so that he can use him in some way. Krychek gives the tape to Barnes. He goes up to the roof, finds Barnes, gives him the tape, and says they are destined to be great friends. And when Krychek tells you that you're destined to be great friends with him, then
he's killing you at some point.
Yeah. And you know that there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
So Sandoz tells Scully that Albert was the only one willing to help. Says Solomon found 2 pieces of the artifact with passages from Genesis on it. Sandoz says the aliens gave it to us. Okay, now we're stepping into what one might call blasphemous territory. He places his piece of the artifact on the table, and it begins to move. Scully slams her hand down upon it. So, right. So, okay. That's really the whole episode has been alluding to this notion, but Sandoz here literally spells it out, which is this notion that what if everything we believe in, what if all the religious texts around the world were actually given to us by aliens, which obviously from my perspective I'm going to call BS on. I'm going to say, yeah, that's bollocks. and I'm out. I'm done. I'm gone. I think this is more for your Joe Rogan crowd. I think, I'm part of the Joe Rogan crowd. I like Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast quite a lot. But when he starts getting into like this aliens conspiracy nonsense, I'm out. That's when I'm like, all right, Joe, calm down, lay off the cannabis and all that, mate. Like I say, there are other ways to look at this, which is also the idea that these aliens, of which have supposedly given this are not, in fact, aliens at all, but something of a more spiritual realm, something more akin to what we've come to know as angels. That's one way to look at it. But really, the crux of it for me, as to why this just doesn't work on that level, is that all these different religious texts being from one place, those religious texts contradict each other. That's the thing. So it's like, what it's trying to say is all religion has come from aliens. It's been given to us from aliens, and I don't like that.
Right.
I really don't
now,
like
you do understand that this is a fiction program?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I do.
It's like I don't know if the X-Files itself knows the message it's trying to say, and I've seen this do it many times before, where it'll state one thing and then further down the line it'll just completely blow that out of the water.
Yeah.
And it's you could say they're just theorizing just now that this is a TV, so it's not. Yeah, it's not something to get hung up on.
Yeah, and there's also the if you want to shoot another theory out there, the idea that they've gathered up our religious texts and printed them on their ships because they're trying to understand that aspect of humanity that separates us from them. Like, if they don't have faith, if they don't have religion, if they have no notion of what God is, and then they come across this race, the human race, that does, maybe that's something that's like becomes so worthy of study to them as a race, that's why they then have all of the religious text burnt onto their ship. So it literally could go anywhere. That's the thing. But some of the notions that it's positioning, I'm uncomfortable with. And yes, I do know that it's just a TV show, but I have heard people over the intervening years since this came out coming out with these notions, coming out with these theories that, religion was just given to us by aliens. And it's like, you've been watching the X-Files. It's like, so yeah, it's just a TV show, but there's a lot of stupid people out there. So it's just the way it is, but
there's always going to be stupid people out here. I mean, you could walk from one end of our flat earth to the other. You're just going to find stupid people.
This stupid round earthers. Oh man, people listening at this point, they're not going to know which part of us is joking and which is serious. Oh, good grief. Right, so where are we? I've lost
Mulder wakes up at home.
So Sandoz tells Scully, that aliens gave it to us, blah blah blah. He places his piece of the artifact on the table and it begins to move. Scully slams a hand down upon it. Okay, Scully rings Mulder. He's like that thing where Scully slams a hand down on it as well. It's like her reaction to that is quite good, because it's like she suddenly started bricking it. She's like, something she doesn't want to have to deal with or even just acknowledge has suddenly just come, has just been thrust upon her. So
like, she's in my mind, she's just thinking this is like a strange metal manipulated by the pull of the North Pole and making this blah 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 blah. Like, some scientific reason as to why it's spinning.
No,
because of the way it's made up.
That's not what her face says. Scully rings Mulder. He's resting at home, and Fowley gives him the phone. Scully tells him that Genesis is on the artifact. Mulder says, aliens made us. Scully says, not possible, Mulder. So Mulder's very quick to jump to the whole notion that we came from aliens.
Yeah.
Fowley takes the phone and makes a call, tells whoever it is that Mulder was found in distress. She's staying until she finds out, and then she gets undressed, which is just so annoying. Why do they have that? It's like they threw that in there, like just to
annoy people.
Just to piss people off, yeah. It's like, now she's going to get undressed. Why is she getting undressed? It's like, because clearly her and Mulder are not going to get up to anything right now because he's flipping ill. He's like seeing stars. He can barely get up and walk in a straight line. So why put this shot in of her dropping her top, like getting undressed, like as if it's, oh, they're going to get up to something. It's like, well, maybe I think it's more likely she's going to go and have a shower. But it's just the whole thing is just done to kind of make people go, no way, get her out of here. And it's just like, it's just, yeah. Try hard. We see that the person that Fowley was talking to on the phone, as if we were in any doubt, was Cancer Man. So there he is.
Let's face it, is really earning his paycheck yet again. This must be the best job in television. It has to be.
Yeah.
Like, not only does he show up, extinguishes a cigarette, does nothing, says nothing, but folk are just like, yes. Like,
just knowing that he's there is like, yes, it's Cancer Man, the big bad, and then it's like, that's it. We're not going to see him again. It's just he earned his pay that day.
An hour on set.
Literally just come in. We just want you to sit there, put a phone down, and go. Stick your fag out. Boom. That's it. All right. Yeah, I think I can do that.
I'd love to see him there just going like, what's my motivation?
They could have filmed all these on a green screen like ages ago and then just pluck them out whenever they need them. It's just like, classic Cancer Man.
What am I doing this time? Well, you're going to be smoking and then you're going to put it out. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, okay.
It's the same as every other episode I've been in.
So Scully asks tons of questions about life, death, creation, creator, purpose on a voiceover, while Albert begins a healing ceremony. A healing ceremony we have seen before with Mulder way back in The Blessing Way. She's invited into it, but says no because she doesn't share in the belief, which I respect. Skinner calls Mulder in... Skinner calls Mulder's in serious condition. Sandoz pleads with her to not let anyone know where he is until they know for sure what the artifact is. But it's like trying to close the barn doors after the horse has bolted, because she literally says on the phone before she hangs up, yeah, I'm with Sandoz. So, whoever's listening in there already knows Sandoz is there. So, like, as soon as he heard what she said on the phone, he should have been out of there. He should have been like, I'm off. You've given me away. Anybody could have been listening in on that call. They now know I'm here. Thanks. Scully arrives at the hospital and Mulder is in the psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
Fowley thanks her for coming, to which just makes you want Scully to give her a slap. Oh, thank you for coming, Scully. As if Fowley is like the one who's been there all the time.
But Scully's throwing her enough shade throughout this conversation.
Yeah. I'm with her on her shade here. So Mulder is on the CCTV screaming, despite being on enough meds to put him under.
Yeah.
Fowley asks to speak to Scully in the hall. She wants to know about the case they're working. Skinner says Scully has ample proof it has nothing to do with Mulder's condition. which surprises Scully, because how would he know? Scully says he shouldn't know that yet, and she hasn't filed her report. Fowley says Mulder called her from the stairwell. Scully calls her and Skinner. Scully calls her and Skinner liars.
Yeah. And it's almost like a petulant 13-year-old. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're both liars.
Yeah.
Runs out.
I do get frustrated, it's got to be said, with the Skinner kind of,
yes,
is he in their corner or isn't he in their corner? Yeah. And now, admittedly, like, we know what's going on with Skinner. We know that Krychek has got power over him. He's got the nanobot technology in him, which is why Skinner's kind of having to do what he says. So we know that Skinner is in Mulder and Scully's corner, but we know that he can't really do anything about it because of Krychek. It's just that Mulder and Scully don't know that. So it's a little frustrating in the sense that we've kind of been through this merry-go-round a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's not so frustrating because we know that they're not really saying, oh, is he or isn't he? It's like, no, we know he is. It's just that he can't do anything about it. The frustration comes from us seeing that Scully doesn't know that he's on their side. Yeah. And it's like, once again, she's having to doubt him. And it's like, oh, come on. It's like the amount of times that he's had your back or done something. It's like, sense the room. If he's doing something or saying something that he shouldn't be doing, then maybe somebody's got leverage. Maybe he's in a position that he needs to get out of. And maybe he needs your help, you know? So, yeah, but whatever. Sandoz quickly vacates the healing ceremony. And Scully finds a camera in the office.
She almost finds a camera.
Well, almost finds a camera. She's literally just about to kind of pluck it out, but then she gets a phone call. Yeah, and it's Sandoz. Letters Albert translated are a map of the human genome. Then he's killed by Krychek. Thanks to Scully.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Scully. Cheers. So he says it's the map of the human genome, but I think he said something as well about it revealing a location as well.
Oh, right, okay.
I could be wrong, but
I can't remember.
Either way, we see this final scene of Scully in Africa, and men take her to the artifact, and I'm sorry, but it's like if you're walking up to that thing, it's a big ass UFO in the sand. Huge. She walks up, she gets shown this artifact, she comes in close to this little thing, and it's like, and then the camera pulls back, and as her face kind of goes from like confusion and awe to this shock and horror that it's a big UFO, as if she'd only just seen it. Yeah. It's like, it's massive.
It's one of those sequences, once it's finished, you realise how stupid it is, because the fact that it's almost as if she uncovers something in the sand. She's like, I found this. Oh, wait, hang on, it's connected to a giant thing.
Oh, hang on, it's connected to a giant UFO that I can clearly see revealed in the water.
Although I will say she looks stunning in that dress.
Okay, wrap up.
I always struggle scoring these episodes because it's not its own story. It really isn't, because it leaves you with so many questions and hang-ups. What I will say is Mulder in this episode is wasted. He is given this like headaches, he's sidelined, he's pushed away, and at the end of it he's in a mental hospital, and it's just, hashtag not my Mulder. It's, I don't like that aspect, because he is the man investigating the X-Files. Now he has become one, which I just like. The Krychek's great. Skinner, it's annoying. It's just frustrating. Like the fact that he must be doing what his overlords are telling him, but must be trying to help Scully and Mulder at the same time. Not as overtly as he maybe is. Scully, fine. I don't feel as if there is as much of a religious struggle as there has been in other episodes with her. It's there, but it's not as forefront, and it's an episode that's fine, but I need to know what comes. So for me, it's a 4 out of 5, but I may change that. It could depend.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think of the 6 season finales that we've had, this is probably the weakest for me. I'm thinking, Erlenmeyer Flask, Anasazi, Gethsemane. We had Talita Kumi, which, I think this is the weakest. But that could mostly be down to my own personal faith position.
No, I think you're right. Even the last one, the end, was pretty good as well. I like that.
Yeah, the end was solid because it was setting us up for the movie, and it felt like a conclusion in many ways to the show, to that era of the show. And it was really solid. A lot was kicking off.
And as cliffhangers go, I don't feel as if this is going like, I need to get to the next episode. I don't feel that urge where I did in the other finales.
Yeah, I don't feel that urge, mostly because, as I say, I'm uncomfortable with some of the things that they're suggesting here.
Okay.
I'm like, I kind of want to get to it because I want them to make a correction and show that the things they're saying are not actually the things that they're saying. But then I don't want to get to it in case the things they're saying are the things they're saying. I'm just I'm a bit uncomfortable. It's still a 4 out of 5 for me because it does do what great sci-fi should do, which is raise tough questions that do get you thinking. Like, this does get me thinking. It does kind of make me think about my faith and where it comes from and where it sits in relation to other faiths in the world. And so in that regard, it's successful on that level. So, but I just, at the moment, I just feel too uncomfortable with a lot of the things it's doing. But it's still a 4 out of 5. But again, like you say, that's tenuous. Depends what happens in the next 2 parts.
Yeah. So there we go. The end of season 6. As always, when we get to the end of the season, we do our top 5s, bottom 5s, which will be coming in our next episode. No doubt there will be some surprises there for Brian. As we know, Brian sticks rigidly to the scores, and I throw everything out of the window and go purely on feelings. How I felt at that specific moment.
It's like logic versus... It's literally, I am the Scully to your Mulder. It's just...
I take great pleasure in the carnage that I cause.
Man.
And we'll leave it for next week. So to all the people out there listening or watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your patronage, and if you want to drop us a review or a like, we would greatly appreciate that. Allows other people to discover our channel, lets them know that the truth is in fact right here, and we'll see you next week for our top 5s, bottom 5s.